Good evening or good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this stream for the real flight event of Charleroi, organized by the BeLux Division of IVAO. Today we are going to be flying from Charleroi to Vienna, and I really hope that you can hear me well. If not, and say it in the chat. And we will set up our flight here on the Charleroi, and we are scheduled to leave the parking spot at 55 from 5 minutes before 4. So I'm just going to jump into the cockpit and start setting things up. First of all, we are going to connect to the network because I have not connected to the network yet. We have already selected our call sign, our type, and our livery, so we can connect. And we are online. I will already put the TCAS on here. I'm not using that in the sim because the TCAS of the Airbus does everything. But it's good to have it on here. And we will tune to Charleroi ground. Very Charleroi ground. That's strange. Let's see. Thanks Clément for confirming that the sound is okay. And I think Charleroi ground is just switching users on the real flight event, so I have to wait a tiny bit because I see on WebEye that they are just gone offline, but normally in a few seconds the new controller should come online and then we can switch. But as long as it's not happening, we can also start some preparations here. Also some extra nice thing about today's flight, that we are using the Charleroi scenery that I have made for Explain. So this is a custom scenery for Charleroi, which I've created at the beginning of the year, and I've been adding small things to the scenery during the past months. So now it's at a quite nice state, I think. And for arrival to Vienna, we will be using the scenery from Gaia Simulations. So that's going to be also a custom scenery. And we are flying with the Airbus A321 from Toliss. And there is also a Ryanair parked next to us. And I will see if Charleroi ground is back online already, because I would like to connect before I start setting up everything. But I think they are not. Oh yeah, they are online. Good. So normally we are tuned to Charleroi ground. And of course, I don't have electric power yet in the plane, so this is all virtual. But then let's start setting things up. So the engine master switches are in the off position. The engine mode selector is in normal. The landing gear is checked down, and the battery voltages are above 25.5 volts, so that's all good. We can turn on the batteries. And external power is available, so we'll turn on external power and also put the lights to a bit brighter. We can check the pressure of the parking brakes. That's good. And then external power is already on. We can set the lights in the cockpit. And that's just the standard procedure at the beginning of the flight. We turn on all the screens to a brightness setting that's suitable for us. And that's normally during the daylight, maximum brightness. Also for the flight computers, clear. And for the first officer side, also set. We check that the flap positions match, and then flat that matches. Speed brake is in the retracted position. Then on the overhead, the probe heat on auto. Air condition panel lights are all off. And the cross bleed is on auto. Annunciator lights. We can test the lights. Everything seems to be lit. That's good. The temperature control is fine on the normal central position. Electrical panel lights, generator 1 and 2 fault is on, that's normal. And then the check ventilation panel lights are all also off, so that's good. Then we can turn on the ADROs one by one, waiting till the on battery sign goes off every time. I think that just shows that the system could work also from a battery should our other power sources fail during the flight. Then the strobe lights can go on auto. The navigation logo lights on system 1 or 2, today we choose 2. Seatbelt signs go on, non-smoking signs auto, and the emergency exit lights are armed. The landing elevation is set to auto. The pack flow can be normal because conditions are fine for that. And we switch all the fuel pumps on. Then we make some tests. Not here, but here. The Baru reference is 1012, that's set, synchronized on all the displays. And then we can make an engine fire test. That's good. Engine 2 fire test. That's also good. And the APU fire test. That is also good. Then the radio panels go on. One. And also here. So all radio panels are on. Here we already have Charleroi ground tuned, and I will already prepare Charleroi approach, which is 133.130. Okay, I've already flown the same flight with this plane, so that's also set. And Brussels control is going to be 131.1. I'm just going to put that here as a reminder. 131.1. As a reminder, and we can also listen to the 80s, which is in the sim 80s.
Charleroi/Brussels South Information X-ray 1200 Zulu
QNH 1012, that's the only thing that's
at 14.
important, because the code of the 80s will read that from the WebEye, because that's of course not the same as in the simulator. And I check the pressure in the simulator because sometimes it's not exactly the same as it's given on WebEye, but to be on the correct altitude you need to set the pressure that's in the simulator. Okay, then we can start setting up our fmgs. And we follow the diffsrip code, so we start with data. And I'm just going to put on a few screens that help us during our planning procedure. And here load in our flight plan, which is here. So today we are flying with Wizz Air. I've already fueled the plane with 8.2 tons of fuel, as it can be seen here. So that's good. Now the next thing we want to do is initialize everything. So first, on the data, we confirm that the AIRAC cycle is the current one. That's correct. Then I usually just I still need the data screen to see our position, and then we go to the init A page, and then we fly from Charleroi, which is Echo Bravo Charlie India, and we are flying to Vienna, which is Lima Oscar Whiskey Whiskey. Echo Bravo Charlie India Lima Oscar Whiskey Whiskey, indeed. Our alternate route is going to be to Budapest, Lima Hotel Bravo Papa. Budapest, Lima Hotel Bravo Papa. Our flight number today is Wizz Air 629162912. So this is not our call sign, this is our flight number. Our call sign is going to be Wizz Air 46 Victor Victor. The cost index today is 3434, and our flight level is going to be 350. Now we can confirm that our positions are correct. We set the GPS to position 5, 2, 8, and 1, and our longitude is 4280, 4280. So the initial coordinate here in the fmgs is the central coordinate of the airport, and we just change that to the correct position of our stand, and then we can align the IRS. And then we can move on to the flight plan page and then add our route. Before we do that, I'm going to ask clearance So we are sure that our departure is going to be the speed 3 uniform, but I'm quite convinced that is going to be our departure, because I've also controlled on the real flight event today, so I am aware of the procedures that are active today. And in WebEye there is still no ATIS info, so we cannot report any information on board. We are just going to contact them without any information, since when we have no information we cannot tell them what information we have. And there is nobody else on Charleroi, which is a bit sad for a real flight event. But in the morning there was much more traffic. I've also flown a touch and go session and it was really nice. Lot of traffic, lot of things to do. Anyway, let's contact ground. Charleroi ground, Wizz Air 46 Victor, good afternoon. Hello, what's happening? I'm on Charleroi ground. Oh, but that's a bit weird. What's happening? Let's try it again. Charleroi ground, Wizz Air 46 Victor, good afternoon. Something is not okay. I don't know what yet, but we are going to figure it out. Either Charleroi ground did not manage to set up, but that would be strange, or I am muted, but that's not the case. VHF is on. Our frequency is correct. Let's try to disconnect and connect back again, because that's the only thing I can imagine. We can go first to Unicom and then go back to Charleroi ground. Charleroi ground, Wizz Air 46 Victor, good afternoon. Okay, now it's gonna be good.
Wizz Air 46 Victor, good evening, sir, with you.
Wizz Air 46 Victor at stand 57 on Airbus A321 would like to request IFR clearance to Vienna, Lima, Oscar, Victor, Whiskey.
Wizz Air 46 Victor, fly to Lima, Oscar, Whiskey is approved. Departing via Sierra Papa India 3 uniform, runway news runway 24, initial climb level 050 and stroke 7105.
Clear to Lima Oscar Whiskey via the speed 3 uniform departure runway 24, initial climb flight level 050 and squawk 7105 Wizz Air 46 Victor.
Wizz Air 46 Victor, the request is correct. Report for push and start.
Wilco, Wizz Air 46 Victor. Okay. Maybe our setting was not correct, but then let's set our squawk as 7105. It's on standby, and we'll put this on above, which means that when we are taking off, we'll see more flight levels above. And thanks, Bas, for saying have a nice flight. I hope your landing will be also popcorn free, or maybe I should say as much popcorn as possible. And let's continue then with the setup. Our initial flight level is flight level 050, so we will set that as cleared altitude 050. And as expected, we have the SP3 uniform departure. So we can continue with setting up our route. And I don't need this anymore, so I've already put that to flight plan, and we will need these. So our departure is runway 24, and our SID is...
With Air 46 Victor Victor, sorry, correction. Initial climb level 060.
Initial climb level 060 with Air 46 Victor Victor. As expected, I thought that was 060, so we have corrected that. And our departure is then the SP3 uniform. P3 uniform, and there is no transition level here in Europe most of the time, and that's inserted as active flight plan. And then from SP, as it's visible on our flight plan, well, as visible it is, I'm gonna zoom in a bit more. So we are first taking airways, and that's nice thing with the Airbus. We can just insert the airways and the points which connect the airways, so the waypoints are going to be inserted automatically if the database is correct. So the first airway is Uniform Lima 607. And then our next airway is Uniform Mike 149er, and then it says via Amassi. Amassi is correct, and we go to Bombi because that's the end of our airways. Then we go direct from there. So we go to Bravo Oscar Mike Bravo India Bombi, and then we have to insert it here. And then from Bombi we continue by saying next waypoint is Tenlo. So Tango Echo November Lima Oscar Tenlo, next waypoint Tenlo, good. And then from Tenlo we go to Dexit, which is Delta Echo X-ray India Tango Dexit. And then from Dexit we go to Venen, which is Victor Echo November Venen. Insert flight plan, good. And then if we zoom out a bit here, maybe a bit more and a bit more, then we can check that indeed this makes sense on the map. And we see we are almost in Vienna, and our backup landing strip at Budapest is also there. What was the message? Okay, I just also got the clearance via text, and okay. And then let's continue then at Vienna, but I'm going to zoom in here back to Vienna so we can see things better. Back to Venen, and then at Vienna we expect runway 34 as arrival. I've checked the wind, and that says runway 34, and our star should be Venen 2 Whiskey. Venen 2 Whiskey, Venen 2 Whiskey. And there is no via here, I've checked that already in a previous flight, so we just go direct, insert, and like this. And then we can go...
with 46 Victor Victor, sorry again, your squawk 1000 is correct.
Squawk 1000 with their 46 Victor Victor. Okay, so that was also incorrect. We'll change that to 1000. Okay, no worries. And let's just have a quick look at the arrivals. We will do that on the way. I'm not sure this is correct. We'll check that when we are airborne, but we have 5 minutes to get ready, so maybe we will do that later. But this is probably...
Charleroi ground, good afternoon. Ryanair 1388 for radio check.
We go back to ARC.
Ryanair 1388, good evening, sir, with you.
Ryanair 1388, stand 62, information Quebec, IF accident to Bordeaux, please.
We don't need a secondary flight plan. Our frequencies are fine for departure, definitely. We don't need to check that. And then we go to the init B page where we will put in our zero
departing to Bordeaux is approved. Initial climb level 060, runway news it's runway 24, and stroke 1000.
Göteborg Chevrolet 4 Yankee departure runway 24, climb maintain flight level 60, squawk 1000, Ryanair 1388.
Ryanair 1388, the readback is correct, report for push and start.
Call you back when ready for push and start, 1388.
Okay, so we have given out in our zero fuel weight and the empty weight 69.8 tons and 27.8%, sorry, that's the center of gravity percentage. And then our fuel is 8.2 tons, and then we see there is a half hour extra time after our secondary destination, so definitely enough fuel on board. Then with these performance settings we can go back to the flight plan and we see that it's populated with altitudes and speeds, and then we just pick a waypoint before our top of descent and we say access wind data, we fill in the wind data. This is taken from the simulator automatically, so that's easy. And then we put in a cruise climb from our flight plan from SimBrief. Could have also done that for the climb, but it's not necessary. And at Boombi we have wind from 3330 degrees at 28 knots at flight level 350, and this is going to turn a bit, so I'm also going to give in the wind at Dexit. If I can do that, it's like yeah, like this. No, it doesn't let me go further than 10 low, so we are not gonna do that. Okay, and then the flight plan is good, and then at the performance page we can put in our V speeds, and the runway 24 in Charleroi is a bit upsloping, so I'm going to put in a 2% upslope. I think the beginning is a bit more, the second part is more or less flat, so let's do 1% upslope. And then the V1 speed at flaps 1 is 156 knots, the V rotation speed is 162 knots, and the V2 is 164 knots. 164 knots. Transition altitude is 4,500 feet indeed at this pressure, and the flap setting is at flaps 1, and there is a very small down trim of 0.1, and the flex temperature is 36 degrees Celsius. Okay, so we are more or less set up on the computer side for departure. Performance is filled, and then we have set the barometric pressure at 1012. 1012. Let's check it in the simulator. What's our current value? Echo Bravo Charlie India, and it says 1012 still. Okay, that's good. And let's prepare some charts to arrival, parking stands and coordinates. But the other one, so P10 to P15, that's the north side, we are at 57. And then the taxi charts, here we'll taxi to November 5, it's gonna be via Foxtrot, Mike 6 and November. And then our departure chart was SP3 uniform, which is like this. We can do a left turn because in the weekend there is no military airspace use, so the military airspace is available, and this is the shortest departure. The other departures would go via Brussels, but they are only in use
Ryanair 1388, request a push and start.
when the military airspace is in use. And there is the other Ryanair.
Ryanair 1388, push and start approved, facing east.
Push and start facing east, 1388.
Indeed.
And Ryanair 1388, sorry, correction, initial climb level 040.
040 initial for Ryanair 1388, thank you.
Okay, flight directions are on, LS scales are set to arc. We put the terrain radar on, not that in Charleroi it's very necessary, but we do it. The speed and the heading windows are dashed. Altitude, cleared altitude is set 060, loudspeakers are set, timer on the main is reset. Skid is on, switching panel switches all normal. Transponder code is entered 1000 and is on and standby. System 1 is selected, pilot side MCDU is performance takeoff, and the co-pilot side or source officer side is at flight plan A. We can start our APU. First, push the APU on, wait a few seconds till the systems initialize a bit, and then we can start, and then we can monitor as the APU is going to turn on. And maybe in the meantime we can look towards that Ryanair if it's pushing back. But soon the flap will open, and the flap is open and is rising. So it starts rotating, AGT is rising, the exhaust gas temperature is rising, and then when we are reaching 100%, then there's going to be the APU available written, and then we can take the energy from the APU. Then we can turn off our external power source, the connection to the external power source. Okay, it's rising nicely. We can also look outside, and then you can actually see that there is exhaust gas coming out of the tail. So this is where the exhaust is for the APU. If we go a bit closer, you can also hear it more. I have lowered the volume so you can hear me talking. See, APU is available, and then when the APU is available, then we can set the external power off. So the external power goes off. Now we have the power from the APU, and then we put this APU bleed on. Good. We can turn the beacon lights on because we expect that we will be starting the engines soon, and then we will ask for pushback and start. Charleroi ground, Visa 46 Victor Victor, requesting push and start.
Visa 46 Victor Victor, push and start approved, facing west, but you must doing a longer pushback to taxi via Mike 5.
So pushback approved to Foxtrot facing east, and we expect a taxi via Mike 5, Visa 46 Victor Victor. Just as expected.
Run to cockpit, please show me where you want to go.
And that's where we want to go, so that's good. I'm going to redo it nicer. So this is Foxtrot, the upper taxiway, that's where we have to push back. And then we'll have to go around the long way.
Run to cockpit, tow is driving up.
And for those who are watching, thank you for watching, and at any point if you have any questions about flying the Airbus, the scenery of Charleroi, or PPL flying, because I'm also a PPL student, and do and ask in the chat. There's going to be quite some time while we are flying above Germany with not much action, so we can always interact a bit more. Our pushback truck is coming.
Ryanair 1388, actually you are facing east or facing west?
Yeah, the Ryanair
Sorry, we're facing west. I thought you said east. Sorry, we can go around, no problem. We can do a 360 and go around.
No problem, Ryanair.
You want us to go through Mike 6 affirmative?
Okay.
Yes, via Mike 6, but we call when you are ready for taxi.
No problem, we call it back ready for taxi 1388.
Okay, so they are going to make a 360, the Ryanair. That's interesting. It's a tricky thing in Charleroi, because when you are between Mike, what is this, 4 or 5? When you're between Mike 5 and Mike 6, you can only go east on these taxiways. So those taxiways are runway.
1388, request taxi.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
We'll wait a bit.
Ryanair 1388, can you repeat?
Request taxi 1388.
Ryanair 1388, roger, taxi only point November 5, runway 24, via Mike 6, and you can, yes, taxi only point November 5, sorry, runway 24 via Mike 6.
November 5 via Mike 6, 1388, thank you.
Okay, so they are gonna go via Mach 6, so we can release those parking brakes and start taxiing.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Okay, so we have already the strobe lights on, saying that we are starting the engines, and then the starter goes to start, and we start by starting engine number 2 first.
Ryanair 1388, you can taxi via Foxtrot taxiway.
Roger, Foxtrot 1388.
So the pressure is rising. You can see that the engine is already spooling up. Alright, and 1 is slowly rising. Good, and 2 is also rising. I'll put the sounds a tiny bit higher. Okay, engine 1 is available. I was looking at the completely wrong screen, sorry about that. And then we can start engine number 1.
And 1388 approaching November 5, ready for departure.
Alright, so
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
and 2 is rising. We set the parking brakes.
Disconnecting tow. Standby.
Fuel flow is also slowly rising.
Ryanair 1388,
Okay,
holding
and
short,
1 is
November
there.
5, ready for departure.
Looks like another good start.
Ryanair 1388, contact Charleroi approach on 133.130.
133, 130, thank you for your service, have a good day, bye.
Alright, we have a good start also on engine 1. We are going to leave the starter on because the weather is not really great. So that's okay. So we're not gonna put the mode selector on normal again. APU bleed can go off.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal of the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Okay, spoilers reset. Let's close the cockpit. Flaps for takeoff position. Pitch trim is down 0.1. You can actually see that on the light controls here. This is pitch trim, so you go till 0.1. And then engine and the wing anti-ice will put those on because the weather is quite bad for takeoff until we climb out. And then the APU master switch can also go off. And we check that all doors are armed. All doors are closed and armed. Good. And we can in theory taxi as soon as we get our clearance to taxi. Okay. Charleroi Grand Wizz Air 46 Victor Victor, ready for taxi.
With Air 46 Victor Victor, taxi to holding point November 5, runway 24 via Mach 5.
Confirm that it's gonna be via Mach 6 for Wizz Air 46 Victor Victor.
46 Victor Victor, you are facing west? Facing east?
We are facing east, Wizz Air 46 Victor Victor.
Oh, okay, no problem. Alors, sorry. Contact taxi to holding point November 5, runway 24 via Mach 6.
Taxi to holding point November 5, runway 24 via Mach 6, Wizz Air 46 Victor Victor. Okay, so this is normal from this position. You cannot go via Mach 5, but you have to go via Mach 6. But that was the original thing. Also, the controller said originally that we will have to make the long taxi, so not a big problem. So we put the taxi lights on, and then we can release the parking brakes. And then we can turn on the timer, and we are slowly rolling. And then as soon as we are rolling, we check the brakes. Okay, the brakes are available. Then we can roll a bit faster, add a bit of power to get rolling. With an Airbus A321, it's much heavier. Takes a bit more power to get rolling, but as soon as we are rolling, we can go back to idle. And then we can do a flight control check. So left up, right up, elevators aft and elevator forward. And then the rudder also fully okay. And then we taxi. Then auto brakes go to maximum for takeoff. We already call the cabin to get ready for takeoff, and the takeoff config is checked. Takeoff config is normal. Everything is green. Climb and nav mode is armed. Initial climb level is flight level 60. Everything seems to be ready for departure. Quick checks. And time counter started. No red flags. The PFD terror radar is on. Auto brake is max. Takeoff config is pressed. And no alarms, no memos. Okay, that's good. And there is Charleroi to our left. Very nice main building. And thank you, Hank, for saying hi. And I'm sure we will be enjoying the flight. I hope you can also stay a bit and watch. Okay, so here we go to the right. There is a Mike 6. A bit of braking, not too fast. We have to go a bit further than the line in A321 to make sure that the middle of the main gears stays on the line. So the cockpit needs to go a bit beyond always during the turn. In front of us is now where they are working on the runway extension, so they are going to make the runway of Charleroi a bit longer, well, quite a lot longer. Now it's 2405 meters from this end, and they are going to make it more than 3 kilometers long. Okay, the next frequency is going to be Charleroi approach at 133.130. But I'm just going to tell the controller that we are ready when we have stopped at the holding point. So there is no rush. Okay, a bit of braking. Let's let the cockpit go a bit further and then start the turn. And here's the holding point, so we are going to nicely stop at the parking brakes, switch off the taxi lights because we are not moving.
With Air Force 6 Victor, contact Charleroi approach 133.130 for departing. Good evening, see you next time, bye bye.
Contact Charleroi approach on 133.130. Thank you for the service and see you next time. Wizz Air 46 Victor Victor. Okay, let's switch here and then control that we have actually switched. Okay, and we are at Charleroi approach, that's good. But before contacting them...
Charleroi approach Oscar Alpha Delta Oscar request. Delta Oscar, go ahead. Okay, sir, we will leave your TMA by descending because according to the weather, I have to descend to maintain VFR conditions.
Delta Oscar, Roger, we may descend at 1500 feet if it's okay for you.
Can I descend at 2000 maybe?
Firm descend to 2000.
And of course, below this altitude, I leave you frequency.
Delta Oscar, if you go below 2000, indeed.
Ok. Je veux pas rester avec vous, hein.
Ah, pas de souci, hein.
C'est qui là-bas?
Jonathan.
Ah bah oui, voilà, Jonathan, c'est Philippe, hein, Philippe Poncet,
Ok.
le collègue de Mehdi.
Oui, je vois, mais je viens de relayer Mehdi, il est en route vers chez moi, on va faire un contrôle F16, là, une démonstration F16.
Ok, allez, tout à l'heure.
Okay. Charleroi approach, Wizz Air 46 Victor holding at November 5, runway 24, fully ready for departure.
Wizz Air Force 6 Victor, good afternoon, runway 24, with 200 degrees, 14 knots, clear for takeoff.
Runway 24 cleared for takeoff, Wizz Air 46 Victor. Okay, then we put on all the lights. All the lights go.
Line 344, turn left and 160, descend to 3000 feet.
Squawk is on alt. And the parking brakes go off. And then we can line up and we can already take off.
Line 344, turn left heading 160, descend to 3000 feet.
Left heading 160 and descend 3000 feet, beeline 344.
Approach path is clear.
Our approach, hello, Air Force 950 with you for an ILS landing, runway 24.
Okay, chrono started, takeoff.
950, bonsoir, air contact vectoring ILS runway 24, fly heading 0900, continue descent to 4000 feet, QNH 1011.
One flex, SRS runway, and auto throttle is armed.
Merci, est-ce que vous pouvez répéter en français? Désolé, j'ai mal compris.
Airspeed is alive.
Donc le cap 090 et descendez 4000 pieds, QNH 1011.
090, 4000 pieds, QNH 1011, merci.
Charleroi approach, Ryanair 6465, good day, we are overhead the LOWW passing flight level 140.
And that is pilot pass.
6465, good evening, radar contact, vector ILS runway 24. Caution next time for the call sign, it's Romeo Yankee Romeo for Ryanair. Continue descent flight level 60.
Gear up, yep. Gear up.
Vectors for ILS runway
Turn off lights off, those lights off. And spoilers disarmed.
The call sign, I was already made aware of that, Ryanair 645.
Line 344 for information, VFR traffic crossing left right, 1000 feet below.
Roger.
Okay, go back to level climb setting on the throttle, push the nose down. We are still hand flying it, just following the flight director.
Air Force 6 Victor identified on departure, contact business control 131.1, goodbye.
Contact business control 131.1, Wizz Air 46 Victor, thank you for your service, bye bye. Okay, we have put on the autopilot. We go to Brussels control, and we are approaching.
Beeline 15 Echo, Brussels control identified. Proceed. All no Flora, expect ILS approach runway 25 left.
Okay, safe speed crossed, flaps up.
Proceeding all no Flora and expect ILS approach runway 25 left, beeline 15 Echo.
Brussels control, Wizz Air 46 Victor, good afternoon. We are on the speed 3 uniform departure out of Charleroi, crossing 3700 feet with you.
Wizz Air 46 Victor, Brussels control identified. Climb flight level 140.
Flight level 140, Wizz Air 46 Victor. Okay, we can go 140 and we have just crossed the transition altitude, so we go to standard.
Ryanair 129, ready for taxi.
Ryanair 129 is taxi to holding point Bravo 1 via the inner QNH 1010.
taxi holding Bravo 15 QNH 1010. Ryanair 129.
There was a bit of water.
09 130.
There is still a bit of wetness.
Last station calling Brussels Control, read you 1 second. 0913. KLM 0913 Brussels Control, identified climb flight level 330. Identified flight level 330, KLM 0913.
Alright, so now
B-line 15 Echo request descent.
B-line 15 Echo descent flight level 180.
Descent flight level 180, B-line 15 Echo.
Okay, so the next action item will be at the flight level 100 when we can turn off the landing lights and switch off the seatbelt signs. Everything else is done on our after takeoff checklist. You can also zoom out, so you can see here we have to be above flight level 650 and at 220 knots, and that's where we are, 220 knots, and we have already crossed 650 or 060 flight level 060 a long time ago, so everything is good. And we can zoom out on the map a bit to see more now. There is not much going to happen. Okay, flight level 100 is coming up. Soon we are expecting another clearance to a higher flight level. And flight level 100, we can turn off the landing lights and retract them. The wing lights can go off and the seatbelt signs can go off, and I'm quite sure now we will still leave the anti-ice on because I'm not sure how the conditions exactly are outside, and the temperature is still in the range of icing, so we'll wait with that. You can see that we are speeding up a bit, so the climb is less steep now. I'm going to lower the volume of the Toliss.
With the 3351, continue descent flight level 130.
Continue descent flight level 130 with a 3351.
So we are speeding up, that's why our climb rate is now less, because we first want to reach the climb speed which is aimed at, and then we will climb further steeper when we don't have to accelerate anymore. That's Charleroi down there. The airport you cannot see, it's behind the clouds. So actually here, this blue arrow shows when we are going to reach our cleared altitude, so the set altitude of 140. The X-plane is trying to load in weather, which is always a mess. So very soon we should be cleared higher. Everything else is nominal. So we expect to arrive at Vienna at...
Ryanair 129, holding on Bravo 1.
Ryanair 129er, wind 190 degrees, 9 knots, runway 25, right clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, Ryanair 129.
With Air 46 Victor Victor, due to military airspace, expect higher in 2 minutes.
Expect higher flight level in 2 minutes. Wizz Air 46 Victor Victor. Okay, so there is some military airspace activity.
Beeline 15 Echo, continue descent, flight level 80 to reach Flora.
Continue descent, flight level 80 over at Flora, beeline 15 echo.
And see on the WebEye that indeed there is some military at Floren, but they are much lower than I am, so it's a bit strange that I'm not allowed to climb further, but okay. At least it's something different than usually is. Oh, and there is also somebody on the TCAS. Somebody who is arriving. Oh, it's much further out. A Wizz Air 3351 coming in to Charleroi from Cluj-Napoca, from Romania.
With a 3351, continue descent flight level 80.
Descending flight level 80 with a 3251.
Yeah, nicely on our route to SPI, Sierra Papa India, the BR of SPI, Pimon, in the French-speaking part of Belgium. And then we will head towards Germany. And in Germany there is no ATC online, so that's a bit sad. Let's see how it's in Vienna. Also in Vienna there is no ATC online now. They have been online an hour earlier. Maybe they still come back by the time we have to land. We'll see. It's quite overcast.
Ryanair 129 at Squawk Charlie.
Yeah, Squawk Charlie, Ryanair 129.
Ryanair 129 at identified on departure passing 2,700 feet, continue climb flight level 280.
Continue climb flight level 280, Ryanair 129.
Rattles, good afternoon. Lufthansa Kilo X-ray, heavy, flight level 380 and 1 vacant.
Lufthansa 7 Kilo X, process control, identify direction required, report requested level.
Yeah, we would prefer to stay at flight level 380 for Lufthansa Kilo X-ray.
There's a city.
With a 46 Victor climb flight level 240.
Flight level 240 for Wizz Air 46 Victor Victor. 240.
Lufthansa 7 Kilo X-ray, odd flight level is required, so report requested level.
Okay, we can climb further, and that's
Kilo,
there.
7 Kilo X-ray, we would prefer to stay at flight level 380.
That's their Liège.
Lufthansa 7 Kilo X-ray, unable, needed at flight level 370 or 390.
Can already prepare the maps for Vienna.
Okay, roger, so then I prefer 370.
Say again?
That's the Venen.
Lufthansa 7 Kilo X-ray, I prefer flight level 370.
Venen 2 Whiskey arrival.
Copy, Lufthansa 7 Kilo X-ray, descent flight level 370.
Then level 370 for Lufthansa 7 Kilo X-ray.
With Air 3351, contact Charleroi approach 133.130.
Contact and Charleroi approach 133.130. Thanks for service. Have a good day. Bye. With that 3341.
Okay, so you're gonna do the Venen 2 Whiskey arrival, so that's straight in here. And then our approach is gonna be to runway 340, so you're just gonna come around and turn back or come around.
Beeline 15 Echo after Flora, fly heading 310 and descend to 4,000 feet, QNH 1010.
After Flora, heading 310, descend to 4,000 feet, QNH 1010, beeline 15 echo.
And we want the parking stands too, to be able to see where to taxi. Okay, so we have all the maps prepared to Vienna, the approach, sorry, the arrival, the approach, the airport, and the taxi and parking charts. So that's it. And here we can have a look always at the in-sim weather for the QNH and the temperature. Some clouds, 2200 feet above. So the visibility down there should be okay, probably. There is no visibility information in the METAR, no significant weather. And hopefully we are also going to be cleared higher up, or not, or if not within Belgium, we'll be given climb on our own.
Lufthansa Cargo 048, radar service terminated, squawk 2000, frequency change approved.
On our own discretion.
Squawk 2000.
By somebody with a back mic.
We have 46 Victor radar service terminated, squawk 2000, frequency change approved.
Squawk 2000, frequency change approved. These are 46 Victor, thank you for the service, bye bye. Okay, so we can first of all go to 122.8.
Ryanair 129, proceed direct Simon.
122.8, that's Unicom. We're going to squawk 2000. That's the uncontrolled. And then we can also go 350, sorry, so our flight level is going to be 350. We're going to quickly check that. I think I remember correctly. Indeed, 350, so that's good. Charts, back to the charts. And then there is still quite some climbing to be done, because we started very late, so we are still around 85 nautical miles from top of the climb. We are going to reach that just before Bombi. Okay, and our expected arrival time is 7:30 local time. And now it's only half past. Oh, really? Oh yeah, that's just in an hour. Okay, I was again mixing up local time and UTC. So it's just an hour and 5 minutes until we land. That's still a long time. I usually don't fly those long roads, especially if I'm streaming. That's why it would be nice if people would be asking some questions, but of course I understand there is not always something to be asked. And it's much easier to fly an Airbus than a Boeing, at least in my experience, my very limited experience in flying Boeings. There is a bit of turbulence, you can see it on the wing, it's shaking a bit. Very mild, not much. I really like this Wizz Air livery. I like these colors. And the A321 is just a nice airplane, I think. Maybe a bit on the longer side, to be aesthetically most pleasing, but still. And down there I think that's the Eiffel region, probably in Germany. We can quickly check that. Yes, that's the Eiffel, those are the lakes in Eiffel. It's a very nice region to bike in, or just to hike. Okay, so we are going to fly more or less straight through the south of Germany, I guess around Nuremberg and Frankfurt. And then in Vienna, in Austria we'll turn a bit more eastwards until we arrive to Wien, or Vienna. And at one point we can look at our fuel consumption, but I prefer to do it on the top of the climb, because during the climb it's always a bit different than what the sim brief forecast, and there is not much point in looking at it. So we'll be looking at it when we are at Bombi. So at Bombi we should be at 5.7 tons of fuel remaining. We will see how it's going to be in the reality. but normally it should be fine. Now that we are on Unicom, we should also put in the window so we see what other people are typing. Okay, every time they are typing I can hear a sound, and it's much easier to see what's happening around. But of course we would also see stuff on our TCAS. There will be something to pay attention to. I have to say that even the default weather in X-Plane is looking quite okay. Right now there is exactly the kind of haze you would see in real life. The color of the ground looks natural, so it's not that bad. It would be nicer, of course. New flight simulator visually is stunning. There is no debate about that. That's quite amazing how that looks like. But as long as there is no precise planes, like good quality planes available, then I prefer flying X-Plane, because I prefer the realism to the visual galore. And I have to say that the Toliss also looks very nice, and when you fly such an airplane, it's most of the time looking inside the cockpit. It's IFR flying, so you're not looking outside, and for that this looks really good. It would be nicer if the atmosphere would be like in Flight Simulator 2020, because yeah, that's just crazy good. It's really beautiful. I have that also installed, but there is no good planes available yet. The small planes are not bad. VFR flying is definitely something to try, but the airports are not as detailed. For example, in X-Plane I have Charleroi, which I made. The really nice high precision. Looks like the real thing. The topography of the runway and the apron is just like in real life. Compared to that, what's available in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is really ridiculous. You can barely recognize it's Charleroi. And also I have some of the smaller airports around Charleroi where I do my flight training, and I also modified some of those to look really like in real life. So it's really nice. And those smaller airports are looking better than Charleroi in Flight Simulator 2020, but still definitely not the same quality. So in maybe a year or two, when there is more things available for the Flight Simulator, then it's gonna be interesting to make a switch. But until then I don't think it's really worth doing it. There's some big river down there. What kind of river is that? It is the... So that's Koblenz, Köln down there, and I don't know what river is going through Köln. Maybe the Rhine. The river name's not... the Mosel. Okay, no, that's the side branch. What's in Koblenz? Which river is that? Hello. The Rhine, indeed, it was the Rhine. Oops, better loading. So that's down there is Köln. Oh no, Koblenz. Köln and Koblenz are two different cities. That's my mistake. Sorry. That's Koblenz down there. Okay. How is our climb performing? We are still at only flight level 315. Yeah, the climb in the Toliss is not amazingly fast. I mean, not the Toliss, but an Airbus in general climbs much slower than the Boeings. They have different climb profiles, settings are different. But whenever I see, for example, Buzz flying the Airbus, the Zibo 737, that climbs much faster. These are different philosophy, different performance settings in the planes. I see on the TCAS that there is somebody quite close to us crossing above at our aimed altitude of flight level 350, so maybe we'll have something coming up on the TCAS. And there is also somebody just behind us. There is a 777, a Boeing 777 behind us. And there's a B752, so 757-200 in front. You can see the guy behind us is here, the one in front is here. If I put it on nav, maybe I can see it more easily, indeed. Zoom in a bit, then you can see that here 4 nautical miles behind, but much higher flight level 370 maybe? Flight level 370 because we are crossing 330, he's 41 below above, so that's flight level 370. Maybe he's going to overtake us. 777s are fast, I guess. And there is somebody just in front on our aimed altitude at 350, aimed flight level, sorry, 350, who is just going to cross 7 nautical miles in front. So maybe if we zoom in somewhere, yeah, there he is, there he is. Nice. I always like seeing other planes in the simulator, makes it more realistic. But they are still much further out, 7 miles. That's very much a safe distance, not even getting a warning for it or something. But the 777 above us will be passing quite close because he's taking the same route we are taking, we'll probably say same airway. So that's gonna be visible. That's nice. Crossing traffic, always nice. Okay, but we are safely away. And now they are descending. Okay. They have started their descent. Now if we look outside and behind, then we should be able to find the 777 somewhere above and behind. Ah, there he is. Okay, let's zoom a bit further, zoom in. See, there is a 777. Nice. Very nice. I like that view. Let's make a screenshot. Nice. Really cool. Alright, we are reaching our cruise altitude. I'm going to put this back to arch, see the route better. But I'm going to put this on nav, and then we can see the guy coming up behind us, or lady, so they coming up behind us. And we have just reached our cruise altitude. We are in altitude cruise mode. Auto throttle is in the proper detent. And then maybe now we can check how's our fuel use going. So we are 10 miles out of Bombay. And at Bombay we should have 5.7 tons left, and we still have 5.9 almost. So by the time we are there, we are going to be having 5.8 tons left. That's perfect. Also, we can turn off the anti-ice. We are out of icing conditions, and ignition can go back to normal. Good, everything is nominal. I, by the way, have failures enabled in the Airbus, in the Toliss. I can show in the fault scenarios, random faults are enabled, but only very unlikely, because they are enabled on the same rate as they happen in an actual Airbus. So far I've only encountered one of these random failures ever in the Airbus, when the auto throttle started misbehaving, and I had to go around because I couldn't slow down properly on approach. But that was the only one thing, and I've probably flown, I don't know, with these planes somewhere between 50 and 100 hours. So you can decide if it's a lot of faults or not a lot of faults, but I still like to know that something can happen. But I don't want to put the random faults at a rate of 50 times as much as real life, because I don't want to have a random fault coming at me every flight. It's still a one pilot operation for a big jet plane. It's not so easy if you're flying online with ATC and then you have to handle a fault. Normally, if in a real plane with 2 pilots, it's still easier. So I think faults at the real life rate are going to be fine for us. But I still like the idea of having the chance of encountering a fault. And these faults are going to be minor because major faults in real life don't happen very often with an Airbus. But if a small fault, like one of the electrical buses fails or one of the autopilots fails, so for example now we are flying on autopilot 1, so the left side autopilot is flying the plane. But should that fail, I could just turn on autopilot 2. Or if one of the position reference systems fails, we still have 2 others as a backup. But if something happens, it's nice. I mean, it's nice that something could happen. It's not, I don't have the feeling, okay, now I can just, or I should walk away because nothing is ever going to happen. Good news is that Vienna approach is online. So we will likely, if they stay online, have a radar service also for our arrival. That's exciting. And I think the 777 is taking a bit different route. Maybe it's taking a direct to something. We can still see if we can find him somewhere. Ah yeah, he's there. We zoom out a bit. And then zoom in a bit. Nice. Print screen. Always nice. Always like to see other traffic. Yes, yes, Bas is saying we have traffic on our tail, indeed. But that's nice, eh? That's why I had here the display that differently. And now that we are on our cruise altitude, we can also put the T-array system on normal, so it's not looking at so much more airspace, it's looking at less airspace. I actually have no idea why these settings are, but I assume that it's a different energy consumption maybe, or different radiation levels if we restrict the angle in which the system is looking for traffic. Yep, they are still there. So our passengers on the left side, if you look at your 8 o'clock position, you can see another plane flying parallel us. Alright, how far is our top of descent? Alright, it's still 150 nautical miles out, so we still have quite some time before we have to do something. Yeah, Bas is saying, indeed, if you manage to keep contact with via Unicom with the traffic. Well, as long as they are 2000 feet above us, it's fine. When they start descending on top of you without saying anything on Unicom, it's not fine. But it's good that Bas says this about Unicom, because I will put back the message window to see if something happens. Normally these things don't happen. Most people are nice and they keep contact on Unicom. But indeed, I had that also, that somebody cut me short on an approach and they were not saying anything on Unicom, and that's always a bit of annoyance because you're trying to fly realistic. That's the point of the simulator, and then there is people who want to fly realistic who really fly on the network because they want to make it even more realistic, and then there are some people who fly on the network and then not communicate. That's a bit strange, because you fly on the network to keep it realistic, then why not communicate? Anyway, these are minor things. Most people are nice on the network, so it's always nice. Okay, but our next checkpoint, well, everything is still far. The weather is loading, I can see it sometimes on the stream, in the sim. And, well, normally... good question. Why would people not communicate when they fly on the network? Strange question. The only thing I can imagine, and I think this happens, that some people fly longer flights, or even if it's not a longer flight, and they go out of cockpit. I mean, in real life they just stand up because they know that the autopilot will take care of everything. And then, yeah, of course it happens that the autopilot does something, it starts a descent automatically, I don't know. And then you are not there to say something in Unicom because you are outside in a different room. Yeah, these things happen. Yeah, Bas is saying that yesterday was flying, then approach and control came online and the other aircraft disappeared. That's always a bit suspicious. Maybe the other aircraft was just flying a very long flight out of cockpit and approach on one of the radars sent a text message trying to make contact, and then if you don't reply within a given time, well, then you can be disconnected from the network. So maybe that's what happened. Well, still a bit far from Vienna, but soon we will have a look at our expected approach and arrival procedures to fill the time, because that's what also in real life people would be doing. Yes, Bas is saying that it's also possible that altitude made the other pilot's sim crash. We've all been there and done that. Yes, that is a possibility, of course. Luckily, it seems like that after they released the patch for altitude, these crashes did not occur anymore, but let's keep our fingers crossed, of course. With all the flying and controlling today, I can already feel I'm losing my voice, so that's gonna be an interesting next week. But that happens when you are in social isolation because of COVID, of course, and you barely talk with anybody. Well, I guess that's something we have to live with. Okay, let's have a look at our land arrival. So we have an airnav arrival, which means that we are not using a classical nav 8, so not flying via VOR, for example, but we are using GPS navigation. So we'll start from the waypoint Vienna, Victor Echo November Echo November, which is of course also the name of Vienna, Vienna. So I guess that's why it's called like that. And then we will follow a chain of points where the minimum altitude is set at 6,000 feet, and here we have to be between flight level 170 and 6,000 feet. The transition altitude is, I think, 10,000 feet in Vienna, but I'm going to have a quick look at the WebEye. They are saying that the transition level is 110, so transition altitude is 10,000 feet and transition level is 100. So when we descend through flight level 110, we can switch to the local QNH, which is currently at 1016 in Vienna, so QNH is 1016. We already prepared that. There is a few clouds at 2400 feet, so that's fine for an ILS approach. The wind is 310 degrees 09 knots. That's a slight crosswind from the left, but nothing too bad. So that's that. And about the airnav approach, that you have to make sure when you're flying an airnav approach that your GPS precision is as required. So now high accuracy means that we require at least 1 nautical mile precision, and we have a precision of 0.05 nautical miles, so that's perfect. That's very high precision. But this window on the FMGS tells us in the progress page, yes, in the progress page, that our GPS precision is as good enough for flying an airnav approach. Because if our GPS falls out, let's say all our GPS systems, because we have multiple, then we couldn't be flying this approach. Then we would have to ask, for example, a vectored approach, and of course now that Vienna radar is online, maybe they are going to vector us for runway 24. So we'll see. But that's the the theory behind the airnav approach. And then from the last point, from Nerdu, we don't know what we would be flying actually, but I guess that we are going to be vectored to the ILS, because it just says expect ILS approach on the 80s, but I'm quite sure we will be vectored. And otherwise, if we are not vectored, then we are just, I'm gonna show that on the flight plan and put the plan window up here. Then we are just going to fly all over those waypoints of the arrival, and then I'm gonna zoom in, and after the last waypoint we go fly down, and yeah, that's definitely not how we would be doing it, because I would then change this to overfly, and then it gets a bit better, but of course that's still not okay. Normally what you could be doing is add another waypoint here, fly to that, and then let the FMGS turn back. So this is not correct as it is now, but we are going to be vectored. So I'm going to leave it. Or if you still have time, I can show how you would be doing it the other way. Because we can see, but I think not, if one of the arrivals, one of the vias to Vienna, but I haven't seen any vias which would be viable for us, would be okay, because these vias are for us, or these are the Vienna 2 vector star is already chosen, so that's the star, and then the via, there is no via that would be good for us, so the vias are all from other direction. So yeah, that's not an option. So Erie is temporary, that's not. And then what you could be doing, just let me check how far we are from the top of descent. Progress 78 nautical miles, that's plenty of time. Okay, so what you could be doing in such a situation, because you see that there is no, it's like there is no procedure to arrive here, so there is no vias, nothing. So how do you get there? It's a good question. That's why I think they are going to be vectored. If clearance limit is reached, so normally we would be holding if there is nothing further. So if you arrive here without further clearance, you would enter this hold. But how do you go further without vectoring? That's not clear. Probably you always get vectoring, and that's how you go further. But again, I'm not sure. But for example, to self-vector ourselves to the beginning of the ILS properly, how we would be doing that? There is an easy method for that, and for that we can go into the flight plan, and then we can insert a waypoint relative to the runway. So we can say relative to the runway 34, the bearing should be the bearing of the ILS, so that's the bearing of the runway, because it shouldn't be magnetic, this should be normal, but it's 340, so true bearing. And we can do a 10 mile, let's see what's the actual final is, so we can check that here. This is D7.4 from the DME, yes, from the DME here, and that's from the runway 1.2.9, that's 3.9 plus 3.4, that's 7.3 nautical miles, so we could go on a 15 nautical mile final, yeah, 15 nautical mile final, let's say. And then we can put that into before the VV97, so before here, and not in database. Okay, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Maybe you cannot do for the runways. Then let's try the I'm curious if you can do that relative to the ILS, but I would be surprised. I don't think you can do that relative to the ILS. What's the name of the DME? DME. ON? Oscar Echo November, let's try it. Oscar Echo November, then 340 degrees and 12 mile. Ah yeah, but it needs to be the other direction, so no, here is temporary. Oscar Echo November, my mistake. Oscar Echo November, and then not 340, but the other way around, that's 120, right? No, 160, 160. And then again 12 miles, and then here. Okay, but it should be then still further than 12 miles. 12 miles is not enough. Then let's do 15 miles. Yeah. What do you mean, lost comms, Bas? If yeah, for the when we lost comms, then for the holding, right? Erase temporary. Then let's try it again once more. Oscar Echo November 160 degrees, and let's do then a 20-mile final. Just curious. Okay, that looks much better. And then we can do insert temporary. We can do clear discontinuity. And then we can also do, and then that's more or less okay. So we don't overflight, but then we can line up. If you would want, you could do this nicer also in the FMC. And the thing I was reading before on the star chart, yes, I think that's for lost comms. But also lost comms usually happens, so that's here. Eh? Lost comms, that usually happens if you are already here and not cleared further. So if you're not cleared further, that's usually because you're lost communications. Otherwise, they should have cleared you further, right? I mean, that's what I think. But I might be wrong, of course. Again, disclaimer, I'm not a real Airbus pilot. And I'm also not IFR certified. I'm just a PPL trainee. But yeah. So indeed, this is for lost communications, and it says if clearance limit is reached before further instructions have been received, a holding procedure shall be carried out at the end of the relevant star, so the standard arrival route, and at the last cleared acknowledged level. In case no communication can be established within 5 minutes after entering the holding, execute communication failure procedure. And what's the communication failure procedure? I guess that's also in the IAP somewhere for Vienna. There is probably an arrival you have to fly, or that I think we go in a depth that's way beyond our knowledge, or mine at least. Let's go back to ARC. We have entered now an arrival that would take us properly to the beginning of the ILS, should we not be vectored. But again, I really hope we are going to be vectored. I expect us to be vectored. And Vienna approach is still online, so we can already prepare the frequency. This goes back to performance again. We will have to enter destination data. Let's first do that, because we are getting close to the top of descent. So enter destination data to the performance. And that's here. So the QNH in Vienna is 1017 in my sim at least. 1017, the temperature is 17 degrees, that's quite warm for the time of the year, I think. Wind is 310 degrees, 9 knots. Transition flight level is 110. The MDA for the ILS approach is for ILS for Cat C 794 feet, 794 feet, which is 208 feet above the runway altitude. What else? That's all set. That's all set up, good. And then one next thing we can still do in the flight plan is give in the descent winds, so our fuel calculations are correct. So just pick a waypoint after the descent, access wind data, and if you are close enough you can just fill it automatically from X-plane, but we are not close enough, so we have to go to our wind page, which is here, and then say descent, and then we are at 238, and it's quite different than what was for the beginning of the cruise. So I'm gonna put in the top 238 42 knots, and that's at flight level 350. And then when it changes, it's more or less here. So it's 256, 11 knots at flight level 200. Okay, and then it also changes here quite reasonably. So that's no, that's the flight level at 313 degrees 3 knots. So that's quite calm at the flight level 150, and then the last one, flight level 100. That, which is already altitude actually, because that's the transitional altitude is 10,000 feet. It's at 343 degrees 6 knots at 10,000 feet, but I have to give it like this. Okay, that's good. Performance, we are 10 nautical miles from top of descent. We will go back to our arrival chart, sorry, just to be sure. And then quickly we are going to prepare a message on Unicom, just that people know that we are arriving. Arrival, runway 34, star, which is Vienna, 2 whiskey, inbound from the west, and we are on the top of descent. And we are ready in time. We are 5 nautical miles from top of descent, so we are already going to send the message and then start our descent. Okay, so message sent. Okay, we are Vienna traffic A321 inbound from the west at top of descent, leaving flight level 351, expecting the Vienna 2 whiskey arrival runway 34. And we are gonna give in an initial altitude of 5,000. They are going to probably change that, and then descent has initiated. And I gave 5,000 because that's where we are to arrive to the ANE. We are supposed to arrive to the ILS at 3,000 feet, but maybe I'm just going to give 6,000 because that's where I expect us to be at Nerdu, but I will check that. Nerdu 6,000 indeed, so I'm just gonna give 6,000 for now, and that's 6,000 here too. Good. And this goes then to progress. Then you can see our deviation from the calculated flight path. So basically we are on the calculated flight path. Our GPS is still high accuracy, which is definitely good for an airnav arrival, and we are going to put out a tiny bit of speed brakes because we are quite close to this overspeed, which is never good. This is this double purple line, which is the middle of our aimed speed range, so we are going to try to be on that. And you can see that we are nearly on idle with power, but that's what the Airbus does. Okay, we are going to prepare the frequency for Wien radar. Wien radar is at 134.675 134.675, right? 134.675. Okay, so the frequency is prepared, and we put the TA array on below. Below. That means that we are going to see more aircraft below our flight level, and that's good because we are descending, so that's always useful. I'm going to zoom in here a bit more, so we see the constraints. First constraints are only above 6,000 feet. So we will definitely easily meet those constraints, and now we can pull our ground spoilers, our spoilers back, because we are fine with the speed, so we don't need those anymore. Okay, and this is going to be the second landing I'm doing with the A321 in I think 3-4 months time. I think since the summer beginning of summer when I had some live stream to Corsica. And since then I mostly flew with the A319. So we'll see how the landing goes. It's a quite different pitch attitude, flare attitude when landing. We'll see. There might be some popcorn. There will probably no crashes, but smooth landing would be interesting and nice. We'll see. Right, we are just coming up on Dexit, so our last waypoint before entering the standard arrival route. And we are with 4.8 tons of fuel left. What does our... Oops, something is loading. Okay, what does our flight plan say? Dexit, 4.5. So we are still 0.3 tons more fuel than calculated. That's always good. Not too much more, because then the landing might be with too much weight. But we are good. That's always good. Then back to arrival, and soon we can contact Vienna approach. Normally that's already when we are on the arrival. I can see on the WebEye that their range doesn't go that far out. So we'll see, but I guess we'll contact them in 5 to 10 minutes. And those lakes, are those lakes or is that the Danube? These are some lakes. That's definitely not the Danube. Where are we? Maps. Where are we? Huh, okay. So that's still in Czechia, I think. Because there is Český Krumlov, so it's some big lake in Czechia. Probably a dam. There is somewhere probably a dam. Maybe here. Oh, and Vienna wants us to contact them, so we are going to contact Vienna. Go back to our map. Contact Vienna 134675. 134675. Check we are there. 134675. Okay, and then let's contact them. Wien radar, Wizard 46 Victor Victor, good afternoon. We are inbound Vienna, just descending through flight level 200.
It's 46 Victor Victor, Wien radar, direct whiskey 985, descent flight level 70, expect RFE.
Okay, that's very, I can't hear anything category.
Japan 61 Yankee Kilo, descent 3000 feet.
3000 feet, Alpine 61 Yankee Kilo.
Say again for Wizard 46 Victor Victor.
Wizard 46 Victor Victor, proceed direct whiskey 985, descent flight level 170.
Direct whiskey 985, descent flight level 170, Wizard 46 Victor Victor.
Wizard 46 Victor Victor, correct, stroke 1000.
Scope 1000, Wizard 46 Victor Victor. Okay, so flight level 170, squawk 1000. I'm very sorry for the voice, but the controller is...
17906, Unicom 122.8.
Unicom, bye-bye.
Okay, and we need to go direct. Victor Victor 985. There is no such thing.
Delta Oscar Mike ready for departure.
Delta Oscar Mike, they are Alpha 6, line up and clear for takeoff from Eto 9, wind rate 2 degrees 5 knots.
Okay.
Runway 29 are clear for takeoff, Delta Oscar Mike.
Alpine 61 Yankee Kilo, turn right heading 250.
Alright, heading 250, Alpine 61 Yankee Kilo.
150, 150, Alpine 61 Yankee Kilo, turn right heading 250. Alpine 61 Yankee Kilo, turn right heading 250.
250, Alpine 61 Yankee Kilo. 150, 150, 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 Alpine 61 Yankee Kilo. 150, 1
Okay, so I'm very sorry for the volume, but the controller's volume is super quiet. So I had to turn things.
1.2.8, many thanks. Cheers.
That's a bit annoying.
61 Yankee Kilo, turn right to 324, clear to left 34,
Well, 320, clear to left, runway 34, Belco, Alpine 61 Yankee Kilo.
And of course I should not have cleared the discontinuity, because from there definitely we are going to be vectored. So now the route you see on the display is incorrect. But we are already at 170, so that's okay. But why are we slowing down? We shouldn't be slowing down. There is no speed restriction, so let's just go faster. Yeah, I should not have cleared the discrepancy. My mistake.
We have 46 Victor Victor identified. Please report your speed. With our 46 Victor Victor, report your speed.
Speed is 270 with a 46 Victor Victor.
Delta Oscar Mike identified, climb flight level 240.
Having flight level 240, Delta Oscar Mike.
Okay, so what I can still do, since we are going to be vectored from here, is to delete all these waypoints which I still had in. It's a bit stupid that I made this mistake of clearing that flight discontinuity. In any case, let's check that our frequencies are already tuned. So it's Oscar Echo November 108.1, Oscar Echo November 108.1, that's correct. The course is 340, that's correct. So our ILS is correctly tuned. You can also put the LS guides up there.
Alpine 61 Yankee Kilo, establish ILS 34.
Alpine 61 Yankee Kilo, target land, tone correction 34, clear to land, 320 degrees, 5 knots, locate left, 04.
Runway 34 is clear to land, locate left, Bravo 4, Alpine 61 Yankee Kilo.
I will definitely have to use that sound log app, because this is not good. Thanks Baz for the tip. And I'm very sorry for people on the stream who are getting ear damage from other people on the frequency. What we can still do is turn some anti-icing on, because I don't know how this cloud layer is going to be, just to be sure. And also auto brake low is already set. We are still so far from that waypoint. I should not have slowed down at all, but now that the control asked my speed, I don't want to mess with the speed anymore. Okay, so we'll go probably beyond the airport and come down on the other side. Yeah, I'm still going to clean up my flight computer, because this is messing with my OCD. So everything after Victor 985 can go. So Vienna can go, this 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 can go to, this can go to, this can go to, and then those are the original waypoints. I'm going to leave them. we are not going to use them anyway. But now everything looks much more clear, so that's something. That's much better. And then, should we have to deviate or something, we can go further, because I also didn't put in the alternate flight plan, we had no time. But anyway, we'll be able to land in Vienna. We are not going to be bothering with this anymore. We are in a phase of flight in the approach and landing where maximum we should be only dealing with flying the aircraft, navigating, aviating, communicating, aviating, navigating and communicating. We are not going to mess around with systems. We are the only pilot in the cockpit. We don't have a first officer to help us. So that's how it's gonna be. This back to flight plan. Other preparation for descent. We have put in all the weather. Fuel prediction is still fine. Oh, okay, fuel prediction is still fine. We can here add in the runway threshold just to have an idea about the distance. So still we are 55 nautical miles from the threshold. Now that we are on a frequency, we don't need the message window anymore. And then things look a bit more clear. There is some traffic in front of us, but quite far. Okay, that's no issue for us.
Reserve 46 Victor Victor, direct Whiskey Whiskey 982.
Direct Whiskey Whiskey 982, Visa 46 Victor Victor.
Delta Mike, Unicom 122, das ist Malaysia.
Unicom 128, Delta Mike, vielen Dank, tschüss.
Victor Victor, Victor Victor,
96 von Yankee Kilo and Bravo 4.
982.
Lima to the apron, wieder.
Lima to the apron, vielen Dank, schönen Abend, servus.
Oh my god. So annoying that the controller has such a low volume. But okay. Okay, but it would be quite useful if we could start descending also, because we are still quite high.
Reserve 46 Victor Victor, descent 8000 feet, QNH 1017.
Descent to 8000 feet, QNH 1017, Visa 46 Victor Victor. Oops. Oops. 8000 feet, and let's do an open descent. And we want to be down. We will also want to be down at 250 for the speed, but in any case that's gonna go on idle probably. And we want to be at 8000. I think there is a good distance, because you still have to go down to 3000 for intercepting the ILS. And now here this blue arrow shows where we are going to reach 8000. So if I move the vertical speed dial, then you can see that the blue arrow changes position. So now I think 1600. Well, let's do 1700. And the Alps are to the right. That's a nice view. That's just the low Alps near Vienna. And then to the right we should see the Danube somewhere. I think this is the Danube probably. Yeah, because here that's the Danube. Okay. And when we cross 10,000 feet, Well, when we cross flight level 110, then I will switch to the local QNH. And we'll also level off for a tiny bit, or just use their speed brakes to slow down to 250, because there is a speed restriction below 250. So there is Vienna, you can already see the city. There is a city, the Danube crosses Vienna, there is this long island in the middle. It's very, very easy to recognize. And there in the distance is the Neusiedler See, so that's a big lake, big, very shallow lake on the border between Austria and Hungary. So a very small part of the lake is in Hungary and a larger part is in Austria. And Bas is saying follow the Danube to Budapest. Yes, that's what we would do if we couldn't land in Vienna, because Budapest is my backup airport. Okay, I think I will already slow down, so I'm just, instead of leveling off, I'm gonna use a bit of speed brakes to slow down to 250, because we are on idle, so I cannot lower the throttle anymore. But the air brakes are there to be used, so it's okay. And there is nothing wrong about using the air brakes. The air brakes are out. The trick is not to forget that you have the air brakes out, because that can be bad. You don't want to land with air brakes out. Okay, we are at 250, so air brakes can go back in. And with idle, we are not going to speed up much, I think. 1700 feet descent rate is not that steep. Okay, maybe we need a tiny bit of air brakes to keep it. I'm gonna go to 1500, then we are still fine. And then I will probably not need the air brakes anymore. Okay, air brakes back up. And we are just about going to cross transition flight level. Yes, Bas, I know, landing with speed brakes deployed, been there, done that. Happens to everybody. I've only done a landing with the gears still up, not in the Airbus, but these kind of things happen. It's a nice view to Vienna. It's quite pretty. Even in X-plane, it's quite pretty. And that's a big word. Okay, so our speed is good, 250. We have crossed the transition flight level, so we can go to the local QNH of 1017, I think, in the sim. And I have to use what's in the sim, because then I'm going to be at the altitude for the controller where he wants us to be, even if there is a QNH difference of 1 or 2 relative to the METAR. So that's good. We have our approach here. We are already coming in. And we will intercept the ILS here, probably via vectoring, of course. We are at 10,000 feet, then landing lights go on and seatbelt signs go on too. It's 7 degrees outside and there is not much clouds anymore, so I think I will very soon turn off the anti-ice, it's not needed. But at 10,000 we should also probably no, there is nothing else to be done, but we can, if we are not going to use the speed brakes anymore, already arm the spoilers for landing. There is already auto brake on, so that's good. Descent 5,000 feet, Wizz Air 46 Victor Victor. Descent 3,000 feet, Wizz Air 46 Victor Victor. Okay, 3,000 feet. Okay, then we don't have to descend that fast because we only want to be there as late as possible, basically. Where did it go? Sorry. 3,000 feet. Hello? Oh yeah, okay. So we need to descend at least 1,800 feet per minute. I will zoom in a bit to arrive to this waypoint at 3,000. And maybe we should also be slowing down a bit, because if we have to intercept, we don't want to intercept too fast anymore, because then the turning radius is gonna be horrible. So there is the airport. You can already see the terminal lights in the distance. so we are going to be using some speed brakes because now we are going too fast. Okay, speed is going down. We are going to go down to, let's say there is no maximum speed for the turn, but we still have to configure the airplane, so we are going down to green dot speed. So that's just a bit below green dot speed, that's okay. And then we can already do flaps 1, then we will not have issues. Okay, and then now as we are slowing down, you can see that the blue arrow is coming closer because of course the descent is feet per minute, and if you are going slower, then over the distance you will be descending faster basically. Well, it's a bit weird how it's explained now, but you get hopefully what I'm trying to say. Okay, zoom in a bit more. We are crossing 5,300 feet. No, we don't have to go that steep anymore. Okay, we are down to our 215. We can also deploy the first flaps. It's gonna be only the slats at this speed yet. And then when we are below S speed, then the flaps will also come out. Maybe let's slow down below S speed already, so like 200 knots. And then we can do less steep descending. Okay. Okay, speed brakes can go back to armed. Storage spoilers.
6 Victor Victor, left heading 100, vector approach.
Left heading 100, vector approach. Wizz 46 Victor Victor. Oops, that's this one. So left heading 100, and then let's do this 185, and we are still a bit fast, so let's put speed brakes back out, sorry.
$2,500.
Okay, but now we are at 3000, that's the altitude, so now our speed will drop good enough. Speed brakes can go back armed. Flaps can go 2. And one more. Let's go down to 180, 175. One more flaps and also gear. I'm not doing this in the exactly precise order. That's quite close to the terrain here.
So for 6 Victor Victor, left heading 010, clear the RS34 for the step.
Left heading 010, cleared ILS and we'll report the remain side. Wizz 46 Victor Victor. 010. Okay, and we will have to report final, not runway in headings. That was a bad readback, but I was way too busy here. And there is the runway. Okay. And I'm gonna put these up so it's more visible on the stream for you. Okay, and now we can put approach. So now the localizer and the ground glide slope are armed. Soon the diamonds will start coming in, and then the Airbus is going to intercept the localizer first. Okay, we have the localizer, so we are in lock star mode. That means we are intercepting the localizer. And the glide slope is also coming down, so we are going to intercept the glide slope too, and we can enable autopilot 2 too, so now we have a dual Cat 3 capability, but we'll be flying this by hand from a bit further out. So we are established on the localizer, and then we can report that. Wizz Air 46 Victor Victor established on the localizer for ILS 34.
South 46 Victor Victor, wind 320 degrees 6 knots from 34, clear to land, circuit left, power 4.
Runway 34 clear to land, and we'll vacate to the left, Wizz Air 46 Victor Victor. That was a Bravo 4, I think he said. And we'll vacate on Bravo 4 as requested, Wizz Air 46 Victor Victor. Okay, now we can land. The cabin, the lights go on also for the wheel. We can also put the wing lights on for visibility. Seatbelt signs are on. We don't need the anti-ice anymore. We can call the cabin that we are going to land. And everything, flaps full. Oh, we are not at flaps full. That's bad. Okay, flaps full. That's quite late configuring. And we should also be on final approach speed. Oh, there is a bit of popcorn. Okay. Normally at 1000 we should be already stable, but we are going to be stable at 500. Sorry about that. But we are going to be stable at the minima, so that's fine. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, we are at the final approach speed. Flaps down, spoilers armed. There is nothing on the screens. Auto throttle, autopilot disabled. So we are hand flying. We are a bit high. Oh my god. Okay.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. 10. 5.
My, there is a lot of wind. I don't know what's happening. Okay, reversers deactivated, and what is there? Bravo 4. Okay, we can vacate at Bravo 4. Good. I have the brakes, manual brakes. There was a bit of interesting control after landing. Like my rudder was not behaving properly. And I've also floated this landing. Badly floated. Anyway, we're gonna go beyond here.
Visa 46 Victor Victor via Lima to the apron, good.
Via Lima to the apron. Wizz Air 46 Victor Victor, thank you for the service and good evening. Okay, via Lima, but let's first clean up things. Spoilers disarmed. Transponder standby. These can go off. Landing lights off and retracted. Nose wheel taxi. Runway turn off lights off. APU master switch on. Wing lights off. And we can also start the APU, so it's available by the time we need it. And then via Lima, so that's just straight ahead, right? Yes, via Lima and then to the apron. We'll take one of the north piers. Okay, so that's just straight ahead. Yeah, thanks Bas. The landing was so-so. Could have been better. I will show the replay after we are on the apron. Just have to wait a bit of time after we stopped. I'm curious what happened with the my left-right controls. It was with the rudder after landing. I really had to hold way too much control to the side. I don't know what happened. Something was strange. Something felt strange. Okay, we'll take the first entrance to the apron, and then we'll try to stop at a gate that's actually meant for an airplane like us. Scenery is nice. It's Gaia simulation scenery is nice. The reflections on the window is really, really cool. I mean, look at that. That's pretty. So I think we need to take one of the stands with the dashed lines, because the strong lines are for wide-body aircraft. I think we need to take one of the stands with the dashed lines, because they are for smaller aircraft. And yeah, here we are still smaller aircraft. Oops, those are two people loaded in at an unfortunate location. So normally we can take maybe that F03, F09. F03, we'll try this F03. We'll see how it works out. Okay, but why aren't we not getting guidance? That's not nice. Why aren't we not getting guidance? That's weird. Why aren't we getting guidance? Sam? Parking settings? Anyway, we'll go in. It's a good position, parking brakes on. And then after landing, strobe lights were still on auto. I forgot to do that. Okay. Are we getting something? No. Weird. Strobe lights on auto. Front spoilers are disarmed. Engine mode sector is normal. Weather radar is off. Transponder is on exponder. Flaps are retracted. APU master switch is on. APU is started. APU is already available. Okay. Brake temperature is checked. We need some brake fans. I'm going to stop the chrono and also the timer. Chrono should have also been already stopped at landing. Now I will start the chrono to see the 6 minutes I need before disconnecting. Then parking brake is on, anti-ice is off, APU bleed is on, APU bleed is on, and then the engines can go off. Engine 1 is off, engine 2 is off, And then when the engines have spooled down, then we can turn off the beacon lights. Okay, engines have spooled down, beacon lights can go off. Okay, and now we are gonna get connection. Hopefully properly. Okay. At the end, it's a proper connection. The animation could have been better.
Wind radar Korean Air 90575, heavy, good evening.
Korean Air 90575, 100.
Okay.
Wind radar Korean Air 90575, heavy, type Bravo 77 Lima, stand Bravo 62.
Okay, we are on Unicom. We are not going to be deaf anymore. I'm really sorry about that, but it's the controller's fault with his settings. Okay, transponder elapsed time counter is okay, and the fuel pumps can go off. Fuel pumps go off. Transponder is already on standby. Then it can also be turned properly off. It's on standby, but it can be left on. Display units go dim. So we can dim all the display units, and we should have also turn off the seatbelt signs so people can start going like crazy, as always. Okay, so all the screens, we can even dim this backup screen. Okay, this and this and this. You can put it back on arc for the next pilot. Okay. Then the AD rules can go off. All exterior lights can go off. The APU bleed can go off. APU master switch can go off, and we assume that all the passengers have already deboarded. We just skip that part because it's not happening anyway in the sim. Then the no smoking sides can go off. We can leave the emergency and exit lights on auto. Normally people do it, but we'll turn it off. And then batteries 1 and 2 are off, and we are completely dark again. Just clean up the tablet. Okay, and then we also can turn off the tablet if we want. And then just look outside at our airplane. Welcome to Vienna. It's quite a nice airport. Yeah, look at the light reflection. I like that. That's quite pretty. Well, thanks for those who've stayed for the stream. There was only a tiny bit of popcorn. I don't know why Sam is not perfectly working on this scenery. That's already my second flight where I didn't get the identification and then the approach into the stands. And strangely, the connection works well. I don't know why that is. Also, it's a bit of a pity about this scenery that the standard ground handling.
Sorry, we don't have any service trucks here.
X-plane is not modeled, and I would expect that from a paver scenery creator that that's done. So that's definitely a negative point. But otherwise, a really nice scenery. So I have to say, it's a pity that the standard ground handling is not implemented, because that's something I really think should be default in a paver scenery. Just for last screenshot, I'm gonna close all the doors. And then we can make a nice screenshot still here at the end. Oh yeah, of course, and I think I cannot close the cargo doors without battery, so that's a bit of an issue. So you need battery power for the cargo doors to close. Or ground power. Ground power is not available. Let's have ground power available. Okay, and now the cargo doors are closing. So that's a bit of a trick. If you don't have power, you cannot close the cargo doors. And in 1 or 2 minutes I will show the replay of the landing. Okay, so cargo doors are closed. We can switch back off, no ground power, and switch off the batteries. Good. And also no ground power availability. Good. Then let's make a nice screenshot. Oops, a bit far. That's quite good. Okay. But the light reflection on the windows is really nice. That's definitely nicely done. There's also another Austrian and an EasyJet. And there is LOWW, or what is that? Rossiya. Never heard about it. And Korean Air Cargo. There is quite some traffic here. Okay, let's assume we can have a look at the replay. It's been enough time waiting here, and it's not for a tour, so we don't have to wait too much. Let's disconnect from the network. Okay, that was an old message. Offline, yes. And let's see how I floated the landing. Okay, where is this? Okay, I think some trees will still have to load in here. Yeah, now the forest is loaded. So it was quite close here to the surface. There is this lake on the border of Hungary and Austria, the Neusiedler say, or in Hungarian the Fertőtó for people who want to hear it like that. And then we are turning on final, intercepting the ILS localizer, and I'm just gonna go and fasten this up a bit because it's not the interesting part, of course. And that's somewhere here I realized that we are not in a full configuration for the flaps. Maybe we can see that if the flaps are gonna still move to full configuration. I cannot really tell if this is already full or not, but I think not. Or maybe it's already full, getting quite low. Ah, no, we are now in full. So that's when I realized we should have put the flaps to full. I will do multiple angles first, just here from the side, and then we do one from the threshold and then one from some inside view also. And then that's gonna be the end for today. So for those who are still there, thanks a lot for staying with us for so long. I hope you had the necessary amount of popcorn. And then we will have the same thing the next time again. Okay, so by this we were stable. I took over manually, I think here. Yeah, definitely, because there was a correction here in altitude. You can see the ailerons moving. And I'm going to float it. I started the flare way too early. See, already flaring a bit. And then, yeah, and then I pushed down a bit too much. Should have flared later, but the attitude was good. Alright, let's see from another angle too again. Let's do it from the threshold now. So you can see that there is quite some crosswind, definitely. Not a bad landing overall, but you see that it's very late with the decrabbing. After landing, very late with the decrabbing. Well, very late, quite late. Not too bad, but okay. And then let's do one internal view too, looking to the left. Nice, nice. That's where the other runway in Vienna is crossing, so they have like this slightly misaligned two runways in Vienna. Alright, thank you for joining. This is the end of today's stream, and I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you also flew on the Charleroi real flight event. If not, there is still time. I think they are open until 11 in the afternoon, and you can always try some non-scheduled VFR flights, or any arrival IFR or departure RFR flight is welcome. People will be happy to control. And as always, fly safe, and see you the next time. Bye bye.